Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Rich Bainbridge. I'm running for Lewis County District Number 3, County Commissioner. And for those people that don't know me yet, I'm a Christmas tree farmer on Alaska. I'm a fire commissioner out there. And I retired from USDA several years ago and had a chance to work with many landowners trying to help them with their own land use on their property. I'm a fiscal conservative. I have some ideas for the county. I'd like to see some improvements. I'd like to do a better job on the permitting process that people have to go through. And I suppose because of my experience working with the regulatory agencies, I feel like I have a good handle on negotiating with different entities.
Mm-hmm.
So in a brief summary, I could add a lot more, but that's who I am, where I come from.
Okay. And I'll give you a chance to do that because that was kind of my next question, is just to describe your work history a little bit and how that would play into your life as a commissioner, things you've learned maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what you know about our agency, Natural Resources Conservation Service. It's an agency under U.S. Department of Agriculture. And our mission is to basically work with the Lewis County Conservation District, which is entities, state government, they're volunteers, to help landowners improve their potential, what they have on their land. They'll walk through the door, they've got a problem. Based on what they tell me or our staff, we try to deal with it. It doesn't matter what the size of acreage is, all the way from 1 acre to 1,000 acres, doesn't matter. And it was all resources, whether it's water related or timber, pasture, haven management, waste management with the dairy farmers and the poultry producers. We would develop a plan for them, and as long as they were working on their plan, during my watch, nobody got a citation, which I'm happy to report.
Perfect. You emerged from a crowded field of 6 candidates, and I imagine it was really hard to set yourself apart. What do you think did set you apart from the others when it came to the primary?
Well, primarily in my experience, I would say, as it relates to what the county commissioner should do, I felt like I was closer to that knowledge of resources. I'm basically a resource guy, and I think that helped me. And a lot of the people that we dealt with when I was working remembered that. And, like you guys know about Carlisle Lake, the Alliance is doing a great job out there improving it, but it was a grant that we got through the district that actually restored it. It was a dead lake. And we moved 200,000 cubic yards and reforested it and did a ton of improvements. The emergency spillway, the primary spillway. WSU was our main contracting agent for all the research required, like the stack. That had to all be looked at. Whether you knock it down or keep it, or what do you do? So to answer your question, I think it's related to the people that I met, and they knew that we actually did something.
All right. This is kind of a really broad question, but what do you think's the number one problem or issue facing Lewis County government?
When we're knocking on doors, especially some of the smaller towns, I was surprised myself at how tough things are. Places, Mossy Rock, Morton, every other house when we're knocking on doors was for sale, foreclosure, for rent. And I heard from a lot of the people there that we'd like to stay here if we could find meaningful work, employment. And I guess related to what the county should be doing about that, I would say it's more like make sure the county is not the problem. Make sure that if something is going on, that the county is going to facilitate that effort. think like we could do a better job as a county to help landowners, because a lot of landowners might only apply for one permit in their life. And I think that the permitting process needs streamlined. Even if it's not a county permit, they could help.
Sure. In those door-to-door visits, I mean, were there many concerns about law enforcement? One thing we hear a lot from East County is they don't feel like they're getting enough coverage from the sheriff's office. Did you hear anything about that?
A
or have
little
any
bit.
thoughts?
I did hear a little bit. I didn't want to get into it too much. I was more of a listener.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little sympathetic to the sheriff's office too. That's
Mhm.
a lot of turf to cover.
Indeed.
And you just can't be everything to everybody. It is one area that needs a look,
Mhm.
but that's you just talk about the East End. There's a lot of country out there.
And with that and other issues, I guess resources, do you think East Lewis County is getting enough attention? I mean, be a big part of your district. Not that you wouldn't be representing the entire county, but
Well, that's true. I'm running from an area that's where I live in East County, but because of my work, I feel as comfortable in PL as I do Packwood. And so it'd have to be for the betterment of the whole county. But I am sympathetic to what's going on in East End. I feel like it's a sleeping giant out there. There's a lot of potential. And I need to know a little bit more about that
Mhm.
before I commit to say, here's what should be done.
Sure.
I just know there's a problem.
What are your thoughts on potential flood mitigation projects, and what would you bring to the table as far as your knowledge?
Well, I've reviewed generally Richard D. Bolt's plan, and
Mhm.
I agree with that. I know that many of the citizens of PL don't like it, but if you look at what's best for Lewis County, I think something has to be done there, and I think D. Bolt has done a lot of research. Yes, it's expensive, but I think that has to be done. Back during my working days, I was in on probably 4 or 5 floods myself, and it's the same old process. You've got to hire somebody to study it, spend a lot of money, and if you would accumulate all of that money on studies to actually doing something. Now lately, the last 2 or 3 years, there has been a lot of good work. Chehalis River Basin Flood Authority,
Mhm.
they've done well. So it's gratifying to see some things starting to happen there, but there needs to be a lot more, I would say.
And just to kind of connect a few of these threads with the amount of floodplain and then other land designations and then the need for economic development. And where should Lewis County grow? I suppose is it IPAT, that kind of thing.
Well, we have some good ports,
Mm-hmm.
and we have potential along I-5, 508, Highway 12, 603. There is a lot of potential for getting out of the flood, or at least minimizing
Mhm.
your damage. I think that there should be before anybody could build in the floodplain, it should be, well, for an example, at the East End, we did a lot of stream bank protection up there,
Mm-hmm.
and yet the county would still issue permits to rebuild. That process needs a look. Where are the permits going? If somebody just flooded out, why would you re-permit to rebuild? I know it's tough if you're a landowner and you just lost your house up there, but there's places that should not be built on.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the port, so I'm going to bring up the issue of the Port of Centralia. County Commission clashed just a little bit there, whether it was a lack of communication or just a issue of interpreting the traffic studies. How do you think that issue was handled, and what would you have done differently if you were commissioner?
I would not have sued the port.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a mistake. There's surely a way to work out and, like you say, communicate better. You might not agree, but at least you know where the other side's coming from. I don't agree with suing another county entity or unit of government. I don't know whose study is right. I don't know enough about which side to believe there, but that's one of the things I would like to focus on, streamlining the whole process, about doing a better job of working things out before you go get an attorney.
Do you have experience in your job, not to keep going back to that, but working between entities?
Yeah, most of, as you know, we were non-regulatory. Everything we did was voluntary. Somebody came to us, we were on their property because we were asked to be. But the agencies we dealt with were all regulatory. And as part of what I am campaigning on is the fact I've dealt with all of them. I know how to deal with them. They all have their own language, and it has not changed over years. It's the same approach. We've done a lot of stream bank protection in Lewis County. We've dealt a lot with the Department of Ecology on all of our dairies and poultry, animal producers. And I think I deal well with them. Every one we did was not a winner, but at least we understood each other. And we would generally jump in on behalf of the landowner. You know, it was a big issue to get everybody in compliance with their ag waste management. And between the district and our agency, we pretty well covered the county.
If you're elected, you're going to join Bill Schulte and Edna Fund. What do you think about their performance as current commissioners, and what do you think you would add?
I better stay with just the ad. I don't know if I want to be critical or not. I do have some ideas. First off, I don't like the way that the reserve fund is diminishing. It costs about $5 million a month to run Lewis County. And there's many months where they don't know where the next month is coming from. And I don't think it would be enough to handle any kind of an emergency. And as you know, there's been a lot of private timberland cut lately. The prices have been good, a lot of private. Well, the county gets a cut out of that, a tax. And the question would be, where are those dollars going? The reserve fund should be going up, not down. And so I have strong ideas about budget. It comes back to my fiscal responsibility and the fact I'm pretty conservative. We should have a lot more reserve.
Is it just a matter of redesignating where we put that money?
Yeah, and I realize it's a big job. I don't want to diminish the fact you've got to do this, but I think if you don't do something proactive, then you do run into major problems. I think that in some of these things you can't help. You only have a certain amount of discretionary decisions to make, but I think everybody should cut a little. I suggested like 3%, but I really, you know, before I look at it, I'd be careful about where do you cut and how much and all of that. But I would look at everything. I'd also look at where we're spending our money.
From the outside looking in, is there a specific area that you see as wasteful right now, at the county level?
I don't know enough about it. I don't know that I should answer that. I've got opinions, but I don't know if they're based on anything. I would rather look at it
Absolutely.
first.
Just a little bit ahead of schedule here, so I want to give you an opportunity to talk about an issue that maybe we haven't asked you about. Maybe a part of your background or experience you want to share, or an idea or anything.
Well, I just go back to, it's a philosophy that you know, I don't know my opponent's opinion on anything, really. We've heard the spiel, but most of that was about where we come from and what our experience was and everything. I just think that I'm sympathetic to property rights. I think that's huge. I think that even though the county may not be directly responsible for that, it's an area that I'd like to see get more attention. Back to the permitting again. I really am sympathetic to someone who tries to get through the permitting process. And I would like to see the county actually have a permit specialist. When I first got involved here at Lewis County, there was a county planner that called all of the entities that would be involved in a certain kind of development, whatever it was, stream bank or housing development, whatever. He would coordinate a meeting on site. And if you weren't on site, you lost your right to say anything. So everybody pretty well showed, and they came up with their concern about what they wanted to see done to satisfy them. And if the developer or landowner, whatever they were trying to do, came up with that, it was a one-stop deal. And I thought it was great. I was sorry to see the county get away from that. And that's one thing I would try to bring back.
Okay. Either you got any questions? We have one final question that we ask every candidate. It's more for fun than anything else. What's one thing most voters probably don't know about you?
Well, they probably don't know that I am in ag like I am,
Mm-hmm.
that I raised replacement heifers for 15 years and presently got Christmas trees on a fairly big scale. Most of them know that I'm from WSU, and my kids all went to WSU. That's probably not a secret.
Mm-hmm. So you're a big Kook fan, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got for you.
Okay.
That's it.
That wasn't as bad
Pretty
as I
easy,
thought.
right?
Pretty easy. Yeah.
We